One EDC item you can't say no to. I kind of don't want to admit defeat that I can't control my impulsive spending. This is from a natural stone fabricator in upstate New York.
A well-used pry bar. That's new.
Mhm.
Just kidding. Yeah,
The whole point of what counts is EDC. If you carry it on you and it's intentional and it's useful
it
to you,
counts.
then it's EDC. It counts. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carried Away, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of EverydayCarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hello, hello.
So if you're new to the show, welcome. Here we talk about the latest in EDC gear, answer questions from the community, and review pocket dump submissions from our viewers. And if you've listened before, we just want to say thanks so much for all the support. And a quick reminder to give a thumbs up to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, as it really helps the channel. So let's just kick it off with a pocket check. Chances are we're probably not doing anything too crazy, right,
Yeah.
Mikey? What do you got for
Yeah,
us?
I got stuff on the way. I actually don't know what's on the way, but I should have something in the next few weeks. But in the meantime, just optimize. It's a desk check. On the side of my desk, I just got a little aluminum watch box, a 3-slotter.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice and black, aluminum, lightweight, 3-slot, very simple, very inexpensive. It was like $25.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brandless, generic Rimowa looking thing, but I mentioned, I think last week, that I've gotten my watches down to 7. I just have like a 7-day rotation now, and the 3 in the main rotation are just the one I'm wearing, which is G-Shock as usual, and then the Sumo and the Tagger in there. That's it.
Nice.
That's all that's new in my gear.
Yeah,
Just optimizing and appreciating, and that's been the mission, and
I'm impressed.
continuing, staying the course.
Nice.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, Rimowa does make a watch box, but I
Oh,
think
really?
it costs more than many people's watch
I know.
collections
I know.
in their entirety. Yeah, it's like their, signature aluminum, but it's like the slide out thing. You have to put a
Ooh.
pillow on top of it to not
What?
scratch because it's aluminum. It's not I think it's not great. And then I think it's only 3 or 4 watch slots total.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm curious if people listening or watching are watch collectors themselves. And if so, what is their ideal watch collection size? Because Mikey's got a box that's only 3 slots
Mm.
plus, the space on his wrist. I've got a 10 slot watch box and then a stand that holds 2 watches and the
Right.
one on my wrist. And to jump into my pocket check, I'm double wristing now, and I
Oh,
forgot to take off my Apple Watch before
nice.
recording this. So caught, I am here with 2 things on my wrist. So I have my Grand Seiko on one, which is what I consider a real watch, and then this abomination is the Apple Watch Series 10.
Hey.
I think it's. Dude, I just think it looks so ugly on my wrist. It's telling me to stand up, but bro, I got the thing to do here. I'm working, so I'm not gonna make that ring. But yeah, I got the Series 10 coming from a Series, I think 7 or something, which
Mhm.
was thicker. And by the time I was nearing the end of my workday and I wanted to go outside for a mental health walk while the sun was still up, so I
Mhm.
don't get seasonal affective disorder, it would just die mid walk. I'm like, dude, it's not even half the day is over. And so this one I mainly got for battery life. And we were talking with some people in the Discord, and it's we noticed that when we wear these smartwatch health tracker type things, it somehow just gaslights us into thinking we're healthy people, and we just follow up that behavior. So I've been working out more. I'm more mindful of my steps and my calories, how often I stand up, and my sleep quality. So
It's the best sleep tracker in the business, also. So that's
right,
pretty cool, also.
yeah.
I wish they would just make simpler form factors for it. I keep saying, I wish they'd bring back the Nike Fuel Band. I don't know if people still remember that, but
Oh
it
yeah,
was like a basketball band, but it had an LED inside of it and a display that vanishes. So it was pretty cool, and
yeah,
it was pretty lightweight, and you can wear it with a normal watch because it was just
that's true.
just a plain rubber
A
band.
bracelet, yeah.
Yeah, I wish Apple would make something like that just for the step tracking, just for the sleep tracking, and then nothing else, no display or anything. I think like a iPod Shuffle in a fitness tracker for
Well, have you heard of the Whoop? You know what I'm talking
Whoop.
about?
Is it the Ring? Oh no, the band. Yeah, the one with
Yeah,
a square and then the Milanese
yeah,
looking band. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
think
kind
one
of
of
similar.
Doesn't that come with like a subscription though?
Yeah, I think it's like not a good value. I haven't looked into it, but yeah, there's plenty of stuff like that. And now they're like rings and all that kind of stuff. Aura ring and
Superhuman, and they're all with subscriptions, which is annoying. So
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
yeah.
So won't be carrying any of those. And then as far as other things in my pocket check, I have a Ridge wallet that I just can't show you guys. I feel like I say that every few months.
I know.
But it's one that I'm really excited about, that I had some, you know, personal
You're
input on.
you can call it what it is. You designed it. You pitched
Well,
it.
I didn't
They made
design
it.
it, but like I said, hey, we should do this. And they're like, that's a good idea. And then they
Yeah.
did. So I'm excited for that to come out.
It
But
looks
that
great.
will
I
be a
will
couple
say.
weeks.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
am pretty
thanks.
excited.
So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that. And then, so I'm kind of retiring or like rotating in and out the Kai's. I totally just dropped
You
the
just
Kaiser
rotated it
Phoebe.
out. Bye.
And I definitely like scratched my desk.
Oh no.
Well, that's fine. This isn't the top down like B-roll desk. So
We did it
man,
live.
yeah. I mean, it's like what 20 CV steel or something. Like I think
Yeah.
it's tough enough for it.
Oh yeah.
S45 VN. But I posted my EDC video the other day, and then somebody was like giving recommendations for alternatives to my EDC knife, and they're like, "Oh, you should get a CJRB or Artisan Cutlery Wizard," right? And I was like, "Yeah, I have one. It's just a little bit too big." And I think one thing I didn't really mention about this before, when you probably had this on the news cycle or something, is how the I don't have another knife to compare it to, but the knife handles are like very similar in size, but just look how much bigger the blade on this one is on the CJRB. It's just so much bigger, and I think Dusty Rhodes has a really good knack for maximizing blade length to handle ratio. Like
Mm.
you wouldn't expect this handle to have so much blade in it, but it does. And even though that's impressive and I appreciate it, it's the same thing that keeps me from wanting to carry this because I just feel like, man, that's a lot of blade.
Especially since you're so used to the smaller knives these days. You pull out a 3.5 plus inch blade and it's like, this is a lot.
Yeah,
Right.
like even, this guy, like this is more my speed. But
Yeah.
yeah, so different knives on rotation, but
Mhm.
other than that, nothing really new. Kind of digging back into the collection I already had, and then adding, like, upgrading finally the Apple Watch reluctantly, but here we are. So I think
Amazon
that's
held a
the.
gun to your head. You just
I
had
know
to order this. Yeah.
it was
It was
on
on sale.
sale.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would be I would be losing more money if I didn't buy it now.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so at least there's that. But hoping to maybe get a different watch band for it. Like I can see the inside of my wrist is like red from just this pin and
Irritation.
tuck closure. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not used to it. I might put it back on the bracelet, but yeah. So that's the pocket check, and kept it brief this time. So good for
Cool. Cool.
us. No deep philosophical things here. We're gonna save that for Q&A maybe.
No
But
deep
yeah,
sea fishing boats this week.
no,
No.
no. I know a lot of our audience is actually on a boat. I hope that the listener count is still quite high this time. They might all be out at sea. So, but before we jump into the news section, why don't we do our ad read? Because this episode is brought to you by our parent company, Ridge. So, Ridge is best known for their premium minimalist metal EDC wallets with RFID blocking technology and a lifetime warranty. But they make all sorts of EDC gear these days, like EDC knives, key organizers, wedding bands, machine pens, backpacks, and hardshell luggage too. I use their products every day, and so do a ton of other people with over 50,000 5-star reviews. They make gear in quality materials like carbon fiber and titanium in a bunch of new matching colors and designs. And you can try them out with a 99-day risk-free trial to see if you like them. So now's the perfect time to upgrade your EDC with Ridge because they're running their 12-year anniversary sale with savings up to 40% off. So check it out at ridge.com/carrytheway. And supporting Ridge means you're supporting this show too. So thank you, and thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring today's episode.
Awesome.
So we'll jump into some new gear in the EDC world this week.
New gear from an OG up first.
Yeah, from the OG. So these are the new EABs from Gerber. Why don't you
Right.
tee up what the EAB is for the people who don't know? Maybe the young cats.
Yeah, the young bloods. Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
EAB was, I would say, one of the first to do a fancy, quote unquote, fancy utility blade because it was in the sleek stainless steel. um
Frame kind of
design.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like a
because
money clip.
yeah, it was skeletonized. It had a money clip on it. It had, yeah, the exchanger blade, of course, as the name says, and it was one
Mhm.
of the first. Like, this was already popular back like 10, 15
I
years
feel at
ago.
least 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was one of the prototypes, one of the actual OGs for like a fancy utility blade. And now in 2025, they made a couple of new ones under
Hmm.
the EAB banner, basically.
So this one's new, the EAB Slim.
Hmm.
And this one is more of like the slide out, push out kind of deployment. It's not the folder that the old
Right.
one or the EAB Lite was, the
Yeah.
OG was.
So this is
So
kind of like a successor to the Prybrids that
hybrid
were
utility,
pretty
yeah.
popular 5 to 8 or 5 to 8 years ago. We each have one of those styles, but they kind of slimmed it down, sleeked it out for the new slims, and I think it's pretty neat for $15. You got two
Yeah.
colors. You got a pop of color in the lanyard hole. You got a bottle
Yeah.
opener. You got a clip, and of
True.
course,
There's a bottle opener.
yeah, and of course, uh, easy exchanging standard utility blades. So
Hmm.
compatible with all of your fancy utility blades that you're using right now. And for
Hmm.
$15 more, you can have like a super awesome beater with a clip and everything. So
Yeah. I think this is like surprising that it's still 15 bucks. I think it's cheaper
I
than the
know.
OG. Yeah, the OG with
Yeah.
the folding mechanism, that's
Was it like
18
30?
bucks.
Oh no. Okay,
No,
so it's
no, it's
down
like
to
it's still under 20, but
right,
I
right,
feel
right.
like
Okay.
they were still a little bit cheaper. But just like in 2025, $15 for anything I feel like is a value. That's like less than some lunches, you know?
I
Um
remember when you used to when we used to write articles about 50 or like 50 EDC items under
Under
$15.
$15. Yeah. You'd be
What can we
hard
make?
pressed to find that
Can we
these
make a
days, but
list of
here's one of them.
50? Yeah. Well,
I
yeah,
don't
perfect
know.
fit.
Yeah, at least from like a brand that you recognize, right?
Mm,
With an
yeah.
original design. So EAB Slim. So that's 15 bucks. And it comes in black as well. If I can show this one. Yeah, with the green accent. That's like a beautiful green,
I
by the
like that.
way.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's one more in this family. So the EAB Mini, which is even cheaper, sub $10, so $9.99. And
Nice.
this comes in the same two colors. But I would say the main difference is it lacks some of the features like the more robust lanyard attachment point. So this is just on a split ring. And then there's also no bottle opener. But it
Yeah.
does have the slide out locking exchangeable blade.
So this is something that would live on a keychain or attached to a key leash in your bag. Just a total
Yep.
nice emergency thing. But for under $9, under $10, you got a nice topo design in the back too.
Oh yeah,
That's
true.
that's a premium feature for some collab
Imagine
knives.
if it's Seigaha pattern, like
Yeah.
yeah. Oh wait, it says it has a built-in bottle opener, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Oh, if
But I
you
guess you
maybe if
could.
you take out the blade, how?
I mean, I think if you're crafty enough, you can use anything as a bottle opener.
Right.
But this one is like very much pronounced and
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
yeah. Um, and the pocket clip, the mini doesn't have the pocket clip, and I imagine it's slightly smaller. So this is 4.2 inches, and then this one is well, it's actually not that much smaller. So I guess just different use cases and how you want to carry it. But
Yeah.
the main design is about the same between these two.
I
And
still
then for more
have the
context,
yeah.
yeah, for
I
more
still have the
context though,
private.
yeah, exactly, the Prybrid. So this is the older one, very chunky,
It
kind of
is very
overbuilt,
heavy.
pretty heavy. Yeah, like so it didn't feel the most elegant to me. I liked the smaller version of this.
Yeah.
I think it was called the Prybrid X, but it didn't use the standard utility blade. It instead had the kind of the craft blades, so they're much
Mm,
smaller and more precise.
yeah.
And it just fit my use case a little bit better for what I was using it for, like processing plastic in my like projects and stuff.
I
So,
actually broke down like nails and wood type of packaging with a Prybrid. I got one
oh
package.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I got shipped a laptop for something
Hmm.
or a similar device, and it needed to be hammered shut with nails and wood, and I
And
didn't
wood,
have
yeah.
I didn't have like an actual pry bar, so just finagling with a pry grid, with like a tiny pry grid with no leverage, trying to open
Yeah.
that thing up. But I did it. I managed it. So
Yeah, and then you got
that is
access to your work computer, and then now you're here.
exactly,
So
exactly. Come a
so that's
long
good.
way.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just cool to see Gerber, who kind of like was very early on in this EDC utility blade, uh,
Mm,
option before it really became a trend. Now they're really leaning into it, and they kind of did with the Prybrid, but I think this is a better distillation of what the EAB was, and probably what people maybe just like actually need, like the essential version of what people need. Because I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
people need like the pry bar built in with like the overbuilt kind of chunky grip section.
Mhm.
This is a little bit sleeker, and I could see this on keychains or just like replacing people's pocket knives.
Yeah.
And yeah, $15 or $10, man.
Not much. It's a nice stocking stuffer. It's a nice, like, tiny gift to give people.
Mm-hmm.
Very useful. Utility blades are very common as well. So
I just want to say though, because my brain went here. It's like, oh, it could have been a nice impulse buy, but we don't do that here on this show. Even though
thoughtfully
it's only ten
considered.
dollars or $15. Yes, please
Thoughtfully
like read
considered ten
through this.
dollars.
Yeah, see if you actually need this in your life before you commit the $15.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, just so that I am clean of that
yeah.
that
You're
act.
absolving yourself.
I am absolved. Yeah, I warned you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool
Cool.
stuff from Gerber. Would love to see what else they got cooking up. So let's move on more to soft goods, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, and this is something new from Alpaka. Not quite new, but like the newest version of the modular sling. So why don't you let us know what this is about, Mikey?
Yeah, Alpaca, I feel like, is one of the most prolific soft goods makers. It feels like I can't keep up with them anymore. I feel like they're releasing stuff every week, either
Mm,
a new color or a limited edition run. But my friends who are really into Alpaca are really excited about this one because the modular sling was a cool idea. It's a vertical sling, which is kind of like something you had been describing a while ago, like a dump pocket vertical top opening
yeah, dude.
type thing. Yeah, so this is basically yeah, it's V2. It's a larger version of the original modular sling, which is vertical. They've made it larger to accommodate modern flagship phones, which are larger.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, they mentioned Samsung as the phone
The
that they're
large
trying to,
Samsung.
the
Yeah.
larger Samsung. But it's got the same vertical orientation. They've changed the front pocket to be magnetic, which is really cool. I have a lot of friends who are now complaining about zippers. It's like it's noisy and cumbersome. They said, why can't everything just be magnets and
Mm-hmm.
quiet, low profile, quiet operation, and it's not Velcro that you're making a large noise when trying to open, or loud and cumbersome like a zipper, which like wears down over time. So magnets are a pretty cool opening. And then they changed the strap to be more to be how do you describe this? Free rotating so that it's more ergonomic and it also kind of pins
Yeah.
itself to your body a bit more.
Like articulates better.
Yeah, it articulates better, and it comes with Molly straps in case you want to strap it onto the rest of Alpaca stuff or standard Molly attachment points. And
Yeah.
yeah, bigger vertical pocket, not a usual style of sling. Usually, something this size is going to be like a crossbody across the chest or fanny pack style. So a vertical sling is more along like an upgraded version of a phone strap type
Mm-hmm.
situation. And yeah, and they put a lot of attachment points for it, magnetized stuff, upgraded stuff, and it's using their latest materials as well, which I haven't tried. I haven't tried this Axo Grid. I don't know much about it yet.
Uh-huh.
It's a new player in the technical fabrics stuff that I know. I think only Alpaca is using at the moment. I could be wrong, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm curious what Maglocks clips are. This is my first time seeing these.
the rotating clip.
I guess
I
it's
wonder if it comes
magnetic.
off.
No, it does. It does.
Okay.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
but
right,
it's
yeah.
like I don't think it's Fidlock then. It's probably like a competitor to Fidlock, because otherwise
Mm,
they would say that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it seems to work similarly. It's like magnetic hardware that
Same as
swivels.
the it looks like it's similar to the front magnetic button thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it might be a variation of that where it's just there's a strap connector to it.
Yeah, man. There's like I feel like there's a bunch of stuff to say, but I don't know how interesting it would be to our audience. So, for example,
Yeah.
like this front pocket flap being a flap, you usually see flaps on kind of like water resistant stuff, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Like a top
it
roller
just
style.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just makes sense, right? Because like rain is coming downward, you know, with gravity. It's
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
it sounds stupid as I say it out loud, but like yes, I feel like we have to point it out. Uh, but to the point of like, oh, sometimes a flap is just a better access for a particular type of pocket, right? A better way
Yeah.
to secure this type of use case of
A
accessing and retrieving and
device.
securing this pocket, right?
Yeah.
And with this case, it would be your phone, which you probably want pretty often. So it wouldn't make as much sense to have to wrestle with a zipper and add the additional wear on that zipper, stuff like that, for something you want to access so frequently.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense there. For me, I think this picture really sells it, where you can kind of see what gear would go in here and the value of having top
Vertical.
down access.
Right.
Yeah. So you can like reach into things and it's ready to go. It's basically like if you had a pocket, like a jeans pocket just higher up or just somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot more sense with things like here they show like pulling a camera out and the camera is ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think this makes more sense too, because when you pull out a camera, especially these like a film or point and shoot or something like that, you kind of want it in that orientation where you're grabbing the right side of it, where the shutter button is and the grip
Right.
section
Right.
is. So that was like what you're alluding to, where I wanted something that would solve this use case,
Hmm.
and this kind of is that. And I mean, I think it's cool. I don't know. There's something about it where I don't know. I have to try it. Like it's on the way to me. I'll have to see how it fits
Yeah.
on me and my aesthetic, but um, I think it's just slightly too big or something.
Mm.
It's I
Said
feel like
said
it's
the guy
not as
rocking the
sleek.
messenger bag as a as a daily
But
sling.
that was like a statement thing, and
True.
it doesn't have much structure because it's Dyneema. I
Mm.
think I have to be sold on this shape, just the
Right. Right.
actual
Right.
shape of it,
Right.
right?
Oh, one thing I like about this is they gusseted the sides of the main opening so that it doesn't just flip open. If it's
Hmm.
full of stuff, it doesn't just like flap over like a full clamshell. The
Yeah, yeah,
gussets hold it into a position where it's like the V
slightly
opening.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have no doubt that this is like well designed and the materials are good and the execution's good. I just haven't gotten the sample in for me yet,
Yeah.
but I do appreciate that it exists. And I think one thing that we do a good job of on the show is just showing people not the usual suspects in terms of like ways to carry or things to carry.
All right.
And it's definitely not for everyone, but that isn't the point. I think if you wanted stuff that's for everyone, you could kind of look at anywhere else and it's like already there.
Yeah.
But for like the interesting stuff, I want that to be in the news cycle. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was a
I
solid
also
pick.
like the price is also really like
Yeah, let's
in
talk
an
about
era
that.
of expensive stuff. $49 is I think for a technical sling that's kind of like a nice size,
Hmm.
which would fit like a modern urban type of EDC with a camera, power banks, portable fan, big phone for 50
Hmm.
bucks, and from a established maker already in technical fabrics and waterproof and all of that and magnets. I think that's a pretty great
Yeah.
price. Yeah.
This is giving me like a more modern version of Maxpedition
I
in the
okay.
most. Okay, go ahead. I don't know.
I was just thinking. I was so Max. I don't know what. Suddenly, I came across a lot of Maxpedition stuff lately.
Uh
Number
huh.
one, I got fed a video of an old Marvel movie, Civil War, where one of the characters was wearing a Maxpedition backpack, and then I started seeing Maxpedition stuff in other shows and movies, and I'm like, what happened to Maxpedition? And number two, I wonder if it would still be useful to or like still cool to try out like the classic Maxpedition stuff because they were one of the first, right? Like along with
Yeah,
511.
everyone had the micro
Yeah.
EDC pouch,
The micro EDC pouch, they had the really bulky sling messenger
the
type
Versa
things.
pack or something.
Yeah, the Kodiak, the Versa packs. And then
Uh-huh.
they had the classic Falcon 2 was the one that I saw in the movie, but it's like
Mm.
really lots of molly everywhere,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
multiple compartments, compression steps, the whole works. And yeah, pouch, the whole pouch thing started with an expedition as well.
Yeah, for
So
sure. For
yeah.
sure. So,
So nice to see an OG brand. And funny you just mentioned it. I was gonna bring it up later, but you beat me to it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just seeing this and like kind of reminds me of Expedition, just a bit more modern and less tactical and more like uh the urban technical kind of
Yeah.
travel person. So,
Well, if you get it,
um
let me know how the exogrid is. I'm really curious about the material, how it compares with like X-Pac and the Enigma and stuff.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So I think you had ordered this exact setup for me. So
Yeah.
I'll test out the system.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So that's pre-order. For $49, it's gonna go up to $59. I guess once
And
the
it's
pre-order
shipping
is
the
done.
5th of March. So it will
Yeah. So
be out by the
it
time
should be
this
out
time.
by the time this video comes out. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. And then our last little news update here. So we got some new drops from aroundsquare.
Mm-hmm. So
I'll
around
tee this one up to you, Mikey.
yeah, yeah. So Around Square makes some of our favorite manipulatives, meditation toys. You have quite a few pieces. I have a few as well. We love their beads and their they have a lot of fun skill toys as well. I have a friend who bought their jump rope, which is kind of like a flow rope. Have you ever heard of flow rope? So
No,
it's instead of, you know how jump rope and speed ropes are just to be designed to be as fast and as nimble as possible, right? It's like it's either
sure. I'll
silicone
take
or
your
like a,
word for it.
yeah, or like narrow rope. They
Hmm.
make a flow rope is something like it's a combination of jump rope plus motions that you can do with a rope, which is a much thicker construction. But anyway, they make
Yeah, super
unusual,
tangent.
yeah,
Okay.
super tangent, but they make very unusual stuff that you wouldn't really consider or see a lot in a lot of places. Like they have wearables, they have like fun stuff, they have fidget toys, adjacent type tools and stuff in a variety of materials. And basically every month they make new stuff. And this February one in particular, I thought was pretty exciting because number one, they're making a new sling. So this
Okay,
one has been in
let's
the
jump
works.
up to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they're calling it the Diddy bag,
Okay, yeah, the
DITTY,
Diddy bag.
not the other Diddy bag.
Yeah.
You don't want that bag.
No, no, no.
Yeah, so this is something that Matt of Around Square has been teasing for a while. He said it's been built to spec. If you watch the video, he shows like it has slots designed for not only his tools, but there's pens and stuff, and it's doubles up as kind of like a clutch slash sling slash organizer pouch. So it's got
Yeah.
that size and slim form factor, and it's just designed to have slots and organization inside to fit his stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it's coming
Kind of
out in
reminds me
these.
of a pencil case, to be honest.
Actually, yeah, and he also makes pens, of course.
Yeah.
Kind of has
So you can
that.
see it loaded out with like, I'm assuming this is either a book or a phone,
Yeah,
and then notebooks, and then
notebooks,
his short
his pens.
pens.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then some
so
more
it's
manipulatives.
yeah, it's a little bit more on in contrast to the alpaca stuff. It's a bit more in the, how do you call it? The
Heritage
more
realm,
heritage
the
realm.
waxed canvas with the chunky
Exactly.
zipper teeth. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
That's exactly that.
contrasting hardware. But
And
it
then
does
kind of
have like, the hook and loop field and
yeah. It's
yeah,
got G hooks instead of heavier hardware, so that's pretty
that's
interesting as
true.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means it allows it to be an organizer or a clutch, depending on who's using it and what you're using it for. So you don't
Hmm.
have to mess with heavier hardware, detaching clips and all of that. So it's much easier, low profile. So that was one of the new things he built out basically and has been using for
Yeah.
a while. Yeah.
I wonder if in the future bags of this style will become not only more popular, but it will be like a must have feature that the strap is removable.
I think if it's a sling, I think that it's an essential feature. I really gravitate towards slings that have a removable strap, just because
Yeah, but
if
you're
it's low
not a
per,
normal
yeah.
person.
No,
That's
I'm
the
not. I
problem.
there's some mental illness somewhere
Yeah.
there. Yeah, but I think it is a very underrated feature. Even if you can just tuck in the strap, just so that you can slide it into another bag, and then just
Yeah.
have a kit that you can take with you, either by itself or just moving in between bags to make it that much easier. I think it's a
Yeah.
really underrated feature for sling bags.
I'm curious what the general audience thinks, or just general population thinks about this. Like, I wonder if they even think about if their straps can be removable or not. I bet you they
Mm.
don't. But if they see it, then maybe it would make more
They can
sense
have
to
them.
them.
Maybe it would make sense if the
Yeah,
use
I
case
don't
is
know if
there.
like hand carrying stuff would be the play, but I think when people see that you can wear a bag and then if you're traveling, you just take the strap off and toss it in and it's just still all your stuff organized and
Yeah.
within arm's reach, I think that's a better use case, but I don't know. It might take many years before this becomes a thing.
Y- You know, a variation I've seen of this is people have specific in some of the specialty boutique makers for sling bags. Some of them have attachment points specifically designed to attach to the front of a bag, and they take that
Mhm.
for travel. So that way, when they get on the plane, they put the bag under the seat or in the overhead, and then they detach the sling, and that's the on person while they're on the plane, and that has their phone,
Sure.
their earphones, and power bank and stuff like that. So
Well, save the list for later because we have a
right,
question about that.
right,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and then I guess just to close out this section on the around square drop,
Hmm.
for people I think who don't really get the around square thing, that's fine. I don't think we need to always push like the manipulatives
Oh
and stuff
yeah,
like that. But I think we can appreciate that if you are into EDC gear, you probably would appreciate like different materials, and I think a round square is a great exploration of material use in practice
yeah.
for basically things that are meant to be used in your hands every day or very
Hmm.
often. And the expression of those materials is done up in very interesting ways. And that's
Yeah,
what changes. So you might not ever use like, I don't know what this is called,
the chet
a
key.
Chetki,
Yeah,
but you can see it how it's executed in acrylic versus something that's executed in wood versus
wood.
something
Yeah,
that's executed in these heavy metals, right? In
yeah,
these different shapes, these different forms. And I think that's kind of interesting and it can be appreciated on a broader scale, not just to these types of items, but flashlight bodies or knife handles or watch cases, just stuff like that. So
yeah.
if you have interest in like the maker side, I guess, of EDC and how those materials kind of get used and explored, aside from handles and like or what's it called knife scales and like the beads for knives and lanyards and stuff like that,
Clips. Yeah,
yeah, clips, like all that kind of stuff. This is just another outlet for that. And I don't know, I'm a fan of a round square. I have one in my pocket, one in my pouch, different items, but
yeah.
pretty
Second,
cool.
second ulterior motive why I wanted to cover this drop is that second item that I wanted to show that specifically to you, because these are 17 millimeter
Oh
mala
yeah, dude.
beads. So the ones
I
that we have are the 14 millimeters. So these are
I
17s.
think mine are they 14. I think mine
Yeah,
might be
they're. Oh no, sorry,
15.
sorry. Yours are the 15s.
Yeah,
I
mine
have
are
the
15.
14s. Yeah.
And this is
So
already
imagine.
pretty heavy, but like, dude, I
Yeah,
could go heavier to be honest.
yeah. He
Yeah.
says that there's a stainless one of the 17s. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't
dude. I
imagine
might I might get that one.
full on
So
Akuma mega beads. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I really like the stonewash titanium one. That's the one that's really catching my eye.
they're too light though. Dude,
Yeah.
maybe brass.
Oh, yeah. With a
That might be
patina.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
so that's
I
the
just wanted to show
stuff.
you
Yeah.
specifically.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing
Thanks.
I wanted to show you. Yeah.
And then everybody else has to listen to that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Cool. So that I think covers it for the news cycle. If you want more of the news stuff, you can always follow us on social and check out everydaycarry.com. So it'll be a more digestible, briefer way to see all that kind of stuff. And then now we'll jump into our question and answer segment from our audience. So if you want your questions potentially answered on the show, every Monday we'll be doing an Instagram story. So follow us on Instagram at Everyday Carry. and then you'll see a story, and we'll ask for some questions that you want answered on the show. So that's where these come from. So we can start with a question from a guest, Elex, who asks, "What is the must travel carry in your opinion, which is allowed as carry on luggage?" So this is like TSA approved kind of stuff,
He's also mentioning carry on luggage.
just as carry on. Like,
Yeah. So I have a couple of really essentials when I travel. One of them, of course, is noise canceling earphones. I cannot fly with people with like sorry, with children crying.
even
with
just the drone, the rumbling of the engine, it's actually
right.
quite loud. Like, yeah.
Sure, fair. I can take the white noise, but then loud people talking,
Mhm.
distracting. I hear people watching stuff on their phone and speaker. Oh my god, so just it's a lot of things that annoy me, and like I think the rise of ANC travel sized earbuds has been a godsend for travel, honestly.
Mhm.
Remember when it was just Bose Quiet Comfort full size earphones? That was the only thing, that was the only game in town to allow active noise canceling.
And even then, like the full sized ones, like I have the Sony WX1000 XM5 or whatever, like those, or like Apple AirPods Pros, like those big ones. I
Yeah.
don't like those for travel, just because like if you have a travel pillow, it like doesn't sit right on your head and doesn't cancel the noise. Maybe I'm doing it
Right.
wrong and like my neck is shaped weird, but that was my
Mhm.
issue. So I
Right.
also have ANC earbuds, like in earbuds.
Right. Yeah. And
So
it's
that's a
just
good
like
call out.
the convenience of just it's just the smallest thing possible
That's
in your
true.
pocket, and then it's generally enough for even long flights. You just charge it back
Hmm.
into the pod. The second thing, I have been actually looking for this product for a while. I originally had something 3D printed, but the main goal of I was trying to find was something that could fit in the when the tray is closed that can hold my phone. So this is something I
Oh.
bought locally, but you can get this off Amazon. This is a Joy Room MagSafe phone holder. So not only is it like a stand for your phone and it uses MagSafe, but
Yeah.
this part I've been looking for something which has this part thin enough that can fit into the tray when it's closed. So what's going to happen is your tray is closed, and then you can just put your phone, since
Like mount
MagSafe,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can just MagSafe, and then you can watch whatever, just like play your games or watch your videos and stuff. And
Ah.
MagSafe just makes it so convenient. And you can my wife was I also got one for my wife, and she uses it as a desk stand as well, since because this can hook onto the edge of a desk as well, makes it
Mhm.
very useful as a phone stand in general. And the MagSafe just makes it so easy, just it's just gonna attach there and you're good to go. It's secure enough versus the janky 3D printed thing I had done. So been a long time coming. I've been waiting for a product like this. I'm probably late to discovering it, but yeah, MagSafe airplane tray closed tray position type holder thing. I think
Why
is
do you need the tray to be closed? Is it just because like the viewing angle is better when it's like mounted higher?
yes. So it's eye level basically, and
Oh, sure,
also
sure.
it's also just more space. I don't.
Okay.
It's not like getting in your way if it's easy to fold up and get out of there. Somebody needs to get out of their seat, or somebody needs to pass in front of you and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
not flying business class or first class, and people are do
Me
be passing
neither.
in front of me. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
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 So the two tech essentials for me every time I travel now, these two must come with me: earphones and something to attach my phone to so I can watch stuff. That's a
So
favorite
as far as
distraction.
tech essentials, I would
Yeah.
add just a power bank of some sort.
Yeah. Fair.
I know that some flights have, or like some airplanes have little outlets where you can plug into and USB ports, but like I'm not trusting a random ass USB port on an airplane to plug into, so
Right. Right.
I'm not using one of those. And I do carry a large power bank, and it has a separate USB-C cable that I need to do it. I just bought it because it looks cool. It's the Shargeek
Oh, the transparent one.
yeah, but you can
Right.
see all the 18650s inside
Yeah.
of it, and it looks like the word that you can't say on a plane.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm trying to not bring that as often.
Yeah.
And it is just kind of one, it's heavy, and then two, if you have something plugged into it and you don't turn it off, then even when it's fully charged, it will still drain the battery. So I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind of a
trickle
frustrating feature.
charge. Yeah.
So there is a product that is coming out that I can't talk about it, but
Here we go.
it does solve this
It
particular
is.
pain point. Not only does it solve my pain point around having a big heavy thing that I need a separate cable to attach to, but also
Mhm.
solves your pain point of having a way to watch videos on your phone.
Yes.
But we'll leave that as an exercise to the listener to guess what that might be.
It's also useful for the new product you have on your wrist, just as a little teaser as
True.
well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
handy in a lot of ways, and it honestly it's very exciting to me.
That
It
would
does
be
solve. Yeah.
yeah, that would be in my travel TSA approved EDC kind of stuff. And then the other thing maybe worth mentioning is kind of going back to what we were talking about, the use case of that alpaca sling. I think
Mm,
it is useful to have just an on body kind of bag for all your essentials when you travel, just so
mm,
that would be your personal item, and then you can put your backpack under the seat or whatever, or like in the overhead. It's just
yeah,
useful to have, so it's like not in your pockets, because it is kind of hard to get to your
it
pants
is. Yeah,
pockets when
especially
you're
with a big
in a
phone.
small seat with a seatbelt on, and like you don't want to wake up the people next to you rummaging
Exactly.
around and
Yeah,
whatever. And if you drop the thing, it's so hard to get. So it's
I know,
better when it's just like all up in front.
dude.
So a small sling bag like that is useful.
When I was flying home from last year's retreat, I dropped my ring. Oh my god!
Oh
One of the
no.
worst things you can drop on a plane.
Yeah.
Something that can roll all around.
Yeah, it's so small.
Yeah, fortunately got stopped by something I had in the under the seat. Ah, it could have rolled all the way to the back. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
See
And
ya,
how
minus one ring. Yeah.
you mentioned travel pillow? What do you use for? Do you use a travel pillow
I
when
do
you
have a
fly?
travel pillow, but it looks more like some kind of orthopedic neck brace, like if I
Right, right,
suffer the severe injury. So
right.
that's why it's like it goes so high, and you can't move your neck basically, and that's why I can't wear the AirPods
Yeah.
or like the large headphones. So
I
I do
I
use
ask
one of those.
I ask because my wife got us this instead of the padded stuff. It's like a scarf that you wrap tightly around your neck so it fixes your head in place.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's got velcro on one side and then you wrap it around your neck. It's taller so that once it's fully wrapped around two times and then you strap the velcro on, your neck actually gets fixed, but it's not doing it by way of bulky pillows. It's using the fact that it wraps around your neck in a fairly thick fashion, and it just freezes your head so it doesn't you don't tilt your head in
Sure.
any direction.
I
So,
don't
but
know how I would feel just being having like strangulation simulation on
I
my neck
know.
for 16
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
So maybe not for me. And I will say, maybe I'm getting older, but I don't use the neck pillow for my neck. I put it in the small of my back for lumbar
Oh,
support,
you
because
are
that's
getting
like
older.
I have more of like hip pain and like lower back pain than I do
I
just like
know.
keeping my head up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I would recommend. I don't think it really makes sense to try to have bladed things or like EDC
Yeah,
tools
we
on
talk
a
about this
plane.
all the
We talk
time.
about this
Yeah.
a lot. So
Yeah.
somebody also, Francisco's Finds, our friends, Francisco's Finds, he said he got his multi-tool confiscated at the airport. Happens to the best of us. And he says, what lessons can you share about traveling? We have a whole episode about that. So
Yeah.
we'll probably link that or have that as a card somewhere. But basically the short of it was just like, just like don't
Don't
bring that stuff. Yeah. Cause
or check it
it's
in.
really, yeah, check it or mail it or buy one there, or get stuff
Yes.
with like replaceable blades, like the Gerber EAB, just
Hmm.
things if you need that, because it's really up to whatever agent is working that day and just decides like, yeah, that's cool,
Yeah.
and or that is not cool. And chances are it's not cool. You don't want your multi-tool confiscated, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say about that. And maybe the last thing, it gets very dry in the air conditioning of airplane, so I recommend lip balm. Just
The bomb. Yeah.
so that's for me. And I don't watch videos and stuff or do anything on the flight. I kind of raw dog it, other than just like ANC, passive
Mhm.
ANC or whatever. That doesn't make sense. But I'm not listening to music. It's just ANC.
Right,
And
right.
then I just sit there. I just sit there for hours.
You're just
Um,
staring up and
yeah, yeah, dude. Just
dang.
sitting there with my thoughts.
No stimulation whatsoever. Raw dogging
Yeah, dude.
reality. Dang it.
Like I feel like not enough people go through their lives like really challenging themselves to raw dog an experience. I think it's just too easy to not. You might be on a plane right now with me talking on a podcast saved to your phone. Like I invite you to turn that off maybe, and just see what comes up. But
Right, right.
okay, let's move on to the next question. Hopefully that was helpful, I guess, Lex, and we'll move on to um,
Be kind, nerd.
yes, Be Kind Nerd One says one EDC item you can't say no to. They say mine is handmade wallets. I can't stop buying them. Joy emoji.
Understandable. The handmade stuff over the past few years, especially from the enthusiast community, are really really nice. Like you do see the difference in quality of a mass produced wallet versus like a like especially the handmade ones, specifically the handmade ones. Like Open Sea Leather was really popular. I forget this other brand, but it was really popular in the past few years. But yeah, really handmade stuff, especially custom. You could choose the threading and stuff. Really, really, I can see how it can get addicting really fast. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like personalized, and you have a connection to the artisan. Like, yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Do you have anything you can't say? Watches, maybe for you.
Can't say no to.
Can't say no.
I kind of don't want to admit defeat in that sense that like I can't control my impulsive spending. Watches are probably the biggest vice.
Right, right. The one that takes up the most space in your head.
Yeah, the brainworms feasting on those new watches, I would say.
Right, right.
I can still say no to them, but it might take a lot more mental effort than a lot of other things that we cover on the show, I
Right,
would
right, right.
say.
I think for me, in the past a few years ago, it would have been flashlights. I really built up a small pile of flashlights. I've sold most
Mhm.
of them now, thankfully. And then the most recent ones I really got addicted to were the fixed blades. But then I got all of my grill ones, so that's done. But the thing I feel like I'm optimizing the most, even to this day, is just slings. I mentioned in last episode I was
Uh-huh.
using the Air Simple pouch, so that's been the
Yeah.
system that's been working for me. But as always, that's always since it's the bag I use the most. It's the one I think about the most because I'm just optimizing and, like I said at the top of the show, optimizing and appreciating, and it's just like
Mm.
min maxing everything. And maybe there's something out there that's would fit my use case, and since it is a thing I use actually every day, it's something I'm always thinking of optimizing, or maybe this could be better, or maybe this form factor could be more useful or more ergonomic or whatever. So
Dude, I hearing that, I'm realizing I think I have the completely opposite approach,
which is
which is why
which is
watches works for me, is
mhm,
that watches are ultimately non-essential. They are accessories. And
mm,
because they're an accessory, then I can just like swap them out because I know it's not going to be the like the be all end all thing that I need to rely on that has the certain performance because it's just an accessory. If I really needed that performance ultimately, I would look at my like phone or something or
mm,
computer that I'm already looking at.
yeah,
But then there's just that variety and the experience of just wearing that watch. And there are a bunch of different watches out there to appreciate, which makes it hard to say no to because it's there. It's not so precious that like if I commit to this, then that's like the thing that I'm gonna have to use all the time. You can switch out watches, I would say, like pretty. I do it multiple times a day sometimes, or just like throughout the week, like depending on your outfit, that kind of thing.
yeah,
And I guess you could make the same argument with other tools, and like people have rotations of EDC tools, like knives, for example, or maybe
yeah,
even bags for you, and like all the things you've collected multiples of.
mhm,
But I think because I'm so unserious about watches, in the same way that I'm an enthusiast about it, like it makes it easier to be open to more of them, and then at the same time harder to say no. Or like I don't want to say it's harder for me to say no, but it's easier for me to say yes. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to understand. So because it's an accessory and it's something, I feel like there's a dichotomy happening here because watches I feel like is your most the thing you most nerd out about, but then you're describing it as something as non-essential and not really something that's going to matter the most in your day, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay,
That's exactly it. Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I would also maybe offer that like the dichotomies are false and they can coexist, right? Where
Right, right,
it is something that I appreciate the most and I'm most enthusiastic about it, but I recognize that it is ultimately an accessory and a non-essential. Just because it like I enjoy it doesn't mean that it's necessary. And when I can accept that for the reality that it is, some people might disagree, especially watch collectors are like, no, every man should wear a watch or whatever. And a lot of other people will be like, no, I just look at my phone. That's totally valid too. But because I realize that it's not really make or break, like I don't think I'll ever get into big trouble without a watch versus like, oh, maybe I needed a knife or like a tool or something.
right, right, right.
Um, yeah, so I don't know.
That's
That's why it makes it easier to say
that's
yes
yeah.
to, not harder to say no to, but easier to say yes to, I would say.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
It's
that's
so easy
yeah.
to say yes that I have to actively say no to things, right?
Right,
I
right.
agonize over like, oh, I shouldn't buy this thing, or my watch box is full, or like, oh, it doesn't meet these. So in a way, yeah. Um, I feel like I'm going in circles in a way that's not really useful to the listeners. So
Yeah, we can move on. We can move
yeah,
on.
I think we can move on here.
Fair, fair.
Okay, so for the next question here, thank you, Be Kind Nerd One. Hopefully that was interesting to you. Um,
Yeah.
so Creepy Classy asks, EDC camera question mark. Do you like to do this? If Game Boys count, EDC cameras must too. Haha.
You've come to the right place and to the right guy.
So we do see a lot of retro handheld devices, gaming devices, Switches, Steam Decks, whatever, like the Anbernic, RetroPie, all those kinds of things in people's EDCs these days.
Mhm.
So I think it's just because a lot of them are millennials like me on Reddit. So there's probably some demographic there, right? But cameras, I think, are also becoming more popular, and the camera photography world, they're embracing the idea of an EDC camera. And I would call all my cameras EDCable. So I have like
Yeah.
the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for video. That's like super compact. You can fit that in the pocket. I have my Digicams, which were back when we didn't have smartphones with cameras built into them, so you needed these ultra compact form factors. And I have a collection of those. And then I think I've shown in multiple videos or my podcast before, my daily driver of choice is the Ricoh GR3. So that's like the newest of that um, point and shoot kind of form factor. And
Mhm.
then if you want to like look at competitors to that, there's also the Fuji X106. That's like really hot camera in that kind of form factor. A little bit more powerful, I would say, a little bit more complex, but still kind of in that EDC camera realm.
Mhm.
And then point and shoots, even modern versions of them are making a comeback. I think uh, I think Canon is coming out with a new power shot, and then I'm not sure, but I think Sony's RX100 series is also maybe being updated, or at least still relevant today, from
Mhm.
what I know. Um, and yeah, for a lot of people, using your smartphone is fine. Just because you see like other people carrying different cameras doesn't mean you necessarily need it. And it's interesting to see the different reasons why people carry a separate camera. Some people like the intentionality of it, just as opposed to just flicking open your phone and then just snapping something and putting it away. There's more intention in the framing and the composition and just interacting with that tool that's specifically for making an image, right?
Mhm.
And some people appreciate that and like the slow tech kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then other people, they just think it's trendy and it's like it provides a particular aesthetic. If it's a film camera or if it's like a digicam with flash, it's more nostalgic, right? And so that's another reason that people do that too. But I would say like if you're curious about photography and you like EDC, I think that's a great overlap to try something like that. But if you just see the stuff and you don't really get it and your smartphone is fine to you, just stick to the smartphone. It takes really good photos these days anyway, to be honest. So,
I have a
yeah.
couple of alternate takes to this. One is a camera that I've kind of been wanting for a while, but it's a video camera. It's the Insta360 Go 3, and it's an action
Oh, okay.
camera that's
Yeah.
really small. It's about the size of a finger, but it comes in a bunch of attachments that can attach to a hat, it can attach to a shirt. It's magnetic, it's waterproof, and I've seen people use it. well, one of the fun things I've seen people use it is they attach it to pets, and then they can see like a POV
Oh
of the
yeah, I
pet.
love those. Yeah.
Yeah, they attach it to a collar. But I see the thing that interests me the most is people using it for travel, like a nice POV, hands free. They just have it either attached to their hat or in the center
Hmm.
of their chest. And then when they make like travel vlogs or something, it's a nice first person perspective, and it's like it gives you the full video experience, hands
Hmm.
free. You're not holding up a gimbal or anything. So, or you can. It's also, since it's magnetic, you can attach it to a lamppost and record yourself doing walking in on the street B-roll type thing.
Hmm.
So that's pretty cool. So that's the type of alternate type of camera I would consider as an EDC camera. The other thing, um, I saw this a couple of months ago, and I found it really interesting. I just remembered it because you brought up the retro stuff. There's a camera
Uh-huh.
called the Retro Snap. Have you heard of this?
No.
Retro Snap. It's a small keychain camera um, that is 720p, and it outputs 4:3 that looks like VHS.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So
As a 90s kid, that sounds cool to
yeah,
me, but
it's
yeah.
okay. Let me just link it to you just now. Yes, perfect. So you can full
So
screen it.
this is an ad. Are we watching an ad?
Well, the end of it is an ad, but yeah, it's basically
Oh, I see.
yeah.
That's kind of
So it's
cool.
yeah, it's a tiny keychain size camera. It takes an SD card, and it takes 720p VHS quality
Uh-huh.
and looks super retro. I mean, that looks like 90s, 2000s stuff easily. And then now it's just
Yeah.
like something you can attach to a keychain. So I thought that was a pretty neat. And I have friends who actually have bought this, and they say that the
Hmm.
quality does look like. I mean, this video is not edited, or it's not like deceiving. So they said that the
Yeah.
quality does look like that, and yeah, I think that's a really neat variation of just like an Instax camera, or trying something different with the retro stuff. So I just remembered it because you brought up the retro
Yeah. That's
stuff.
pretty neat.
Yeah. Plus, it's
I
really
already have
small keychain
too
size.
many
Yeah.
like actual from
Yeah.
the early 2000s digicams to like need that, but pretty
And the
cool.
Game
So
Boy
yeah,
camera too.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I will just say, like, to kind of wrap this question up, EDC camera, do you like to do this? Yeah, but then I think that the whole point of like what counts as EDC, that's like a sub question that's kind of
Yeah.
implied in this question. Like, if Game Boys count, EDC cameras must count. Dude, I would say like if you carry it on you and it's intentional and it's like
It
useful to you,
counts.
then it's EDC. It counts. Like people ask me like,
Yeah.
oh, does a lighter count as EDC? Does
That's such a
cologne count? Just like don't worry about it. Just
it
carry it.
keeps coming up, right? People are
Yeah.
asking us, does this count? Does this count? Everything counts. If you're
But it
carrying it,
makes me
it's
wonder, it
yeah.
makes me wonder if there's an existing like prevalent narrative from other maybe creators or other communities where it's just like, no, it needs
Yeah.
these things for it to count.
That
Because
is
this
really
it surprises
strange.
us to hear, right? That
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
even worried about that. So maybe I don't know, out of the loop there. But if you found your way to this podcast, we'll just say it counts, carry
Yeah.
it, you're fine.
We're
Um,
not about the gatekeeping.
yeah.
Yeah. Carry
Okay,
what
so
makes you happy.
yes. Um, but don't keep buying stuff to
Right.
carry thinking that it will make you happy. That
Exactly.
just sums up this like last year of episodes. Okay,
That's right.
so let's jump into our user submissions or our viewer submissions rather.
Sure.
And then 1 second while my AirPods have died, so I will
Nice.
switch. Yeah. All right, let's jump into the user submissions here. And this first one is a great EDC from RT. So they say, greetings from Thailand. It's really cold outside here, 14 Celsius. And they're
What?
showing their mini compact EDC to you
14.
all. I don't know what that is in American units. Can somebody please convert that for me? But they say these stuffs are all really great work, cool gear, and great work design, light enough weight to carry with several functions. So what do we got here? We got the red Leatherman Skeletal RX, the Wuben X3. So this is the rotating 90-degree light,
Mhm.
a brass key bar, and then the Spyderco Pair 3 with this curious zip tie there that we could talk a little bit about too.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, so very solid, compact carry, I would say. I like the just all the different colors to it, all the different materials, and then it just covers all the bases, I would say. And these are like
Mhm.
kind of tried and true products. So
Exactly. So number one, 14 degrees Celsius is 57 in Fahrenheit.
that's pretty cold, I would
Number
say,
two,
for
how
Southeast
are
Asia.
they how are they getting 14 in Southeast Asia? And number three, this is a great photo. I just
Yeah,
like the colors and the composition and just like the quality of it. It just looks so nice. And
yeah.
the green goes with the wheat field in the background. I'm sorry, that's not wheat. It could be wheat. Is it wheat?
I don't think so. I would not eat it, but
No, fuzzy. But yeah, I just love the colors. Like you said, the tools are evergreen stuff, really, really tried and tested and fun stuff. Like the Wubin X3 is a really nice light. Um, nice bold red for the scalar tool, which is one of the best EDC multi tools. It has a bit driver, got pliers,
mhm.
lightweight, skeletonized frame, and one of the most popular Spyderco knives of all time, Para 3, with like you mentioned, a makeshift wave type feature
Yeah.
using a zip tie. Yeah, so that is like an old school move to put on a Spyderco specifically. So during the time of like this, wow, this was long ago, 12, 13 years ago.
So long.
Yeah, the Emerson Wave is a patented product where a piece of metal is designed into the blade so that when you pull that out of your pocket, that extruding piece of
Yeah. It
metal
like hooks out.
snags onto the edge of your pants, and then it deploys the blade as you're pulling it
Yeah,
out.
it pulls the blade open as you pull it out
Yeah,
of your pocket. So you can get a similar effect with just a cut off zip tie on a
yeah,
spider hole for Spyderco knives, and
yeah,
it kind of gets the same effect. Personally, I would not do this because my current knife can do that kind of accidentally, and I don't like
yeah.
that. But I know a lot of people just like the, oh, I pull it out of my pocket and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So
And I remember this got popular for Spyderco before because they used to be one of the only games in town. The knife industry wasn't as mature back then. So
yeah.
you had very limited, you had like Emerson knives, you had Spyderco, you had early Benchmade, you had, I don't know, Schrade knives back then, Cold Steel, the
Hmm.
older OG knife brands, and you didn't have much variety as far as functionality. It was all liner locks, liner
Yeah.
locks, and
Liner
frame
locks,
locks and
thumb studs.
back locks. Not a lot
Yeah.
of variety. So people like the Emerson Wave feature, but they're only on Emerson knives. It's a patented product.
And
It's a
Emerson's were
patented feature.
expensive.
Yeah, they were at the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Before they
think
were
you could get
partnering.
Kershaw versions, right?
Yeah,
Was it
before they
Kershaw?
partnered with Kershaw, the
Yeah.
original Emerson, um, the mothership Emerson knives were much more expensive. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Those were like grail level. Yeah.
people had their early Spider Coast. They wanted the same feature. They figured out that if you cut off a piece of zip tie, you could kind of get the same effect with a nicely tuned detent on your Spyderco. Yeah, and that's how it started. Now you can
Hmm.
buy stuff that actually screws into the spider round hole. So now there's an actual
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
you can buy an
Yeah.
actual hardware piece of product that you can screw into the round hole, and it would, it's a much more elegant, machined take
Hmm.
on the zip tie. But yeah, that's the old school way of doing it. Yeah, long-winded
Nice.
explanation to
Yeah.
explain
Yeah.
a zip tie. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe people just need to try it for themselves to see. But actually, no, don't do that because I don't want to get in trouble if
Mhm.
anything happens. Just be very careful with all these like instant deploy things. But, I'm not your dad. But just, yeah, I just want to be absolved from things today. So, like, yeah, don't come for me. One thing we didn't notice or didn't note is that this is also a CTS 204p version of the Parrot 3. So it's like a different steel. So that makes it a little bit more special too. And then also the Skeletal is the RX version, which is like for the first responder. So it's red, and then on the end of the bit driver thing is a carbide glass breaker tip for like,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, getting into cars or something after an accident or something.
And
So
we can see that citizen peeking out of your
I
jacket.
know, yeah.
Mhm.
So probably
We're
got a nice
peeping
watch on
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great selection
Uh,
of stuff.
hmm So very
And
cool.
great photo.
Yeah. So thank you to RT for this pocket dump. And if you guys want to see with links to all those items, that's going to be on our website, everydaycarry.com. And we'll move on to this next one here. This is from Spike, and they are a natural stone fabricator in upstate New York. So they say their gear is essential to their trade as they install granite countertops. So they use the Vero pry bar. Here you can see it's well worn to pry open cans of epoxy, the Olight down here to see inside dark cabinets. And then they found that the Carbonox can take some serious abuse as he's always wet or dusty on the job. And the pen is always being used to take notes or write down measurements. And as far as the knife goes, they've never seen a better quality OTF. So this is the Microtech UTX 8 or
85, I see.
85, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
85. And then rounding this out is their first Ridge wallet ever. And they say they love it. It's awesome and minimalist and a slick looking piece of gear. And all the gear is well used with some good patina. So we love to see that too. Yeah, I believe you. Yeah.
A well-used pry bar. That's new. Just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like a perfect use case for it, like opening
Exactly.
cans of
Yeah.
stuff, like prying open cans of
And if
stuff,
you're
paint,
installing
epoxy.
granite countertops, I mean, I will say though, one of my favorite things here, Olight gets a lot of crap over the years, but I
Mm.
think the i3T, especially in titanium like this, is one of the best products they've ever made. It's it was inexpensive. I believe it was
Uh-huh.
about $35 for the titanium one. Uses
Mm.
standard batteries, which is not
Yep.
their
That's
usual.
like the main criticism of them now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has a simple two-level proud switch, dual
Mm.
clip. It had everything going for it, and the design was pretty neat as
Yeah.
well. And yeah, for $35 for titanium AAA, I still think it's one of the best OLED products they've ever made. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Any other comments? I've never seen this watch. I've never seen this
Yeah,
Carbinox.
this is the Carbonox. Yeah. I'm guessing it's kind of like a smartwatch, but it's probably more ruggedized.
Mm.
But
It's
I
not
haven't
cheap
used one of
either.
those.
It's not
Mm.
cheap either. It's $140 too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it seems to be working for Spike here. So pretty solid carry, I would say.
Thanks for trying out Rage as well. Nice selection of the
Yeah.
MKBHD exclusive limited edition version of his wallet. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder like if you're a fan of Marquez and MKBHD, or you just like that it's matte black everything. Because the finish is, I think, different and that design is pretty cool. Goes with
Yeah.
the rest of your stuff, I would say. So
Mhm.
thanks to Spike for this submission, and then we'll move into our last pocket dump check here. And this is from Masayuki, a wannabe hacker in Japan. So they
Nice.
say they usually work at a desk and commute between home and work, so they don't take too many things with them. But when they do go out, it's a combination of tools similar to this. So try to get a set of tools that are made in Japan. Now we're talking. No, I'm just kidding. But at first, didn't really like G-Shock, but this is, I believe, an MRG. No,
MTG.
oh MTG. Oh,
So the tier
okay,
just
okay.
below MRG. That's
Ah,
right.
okay, yeah. It does look like a fancy special version. So it looks like brass, they said. And then on this, they carry a small memo pad, but they like to have a larger notebook. And then I think this brand of stationaries, they say unusual because it has a leather cover, and when you're done using it, they replace the paper for you. Oh, that's very cool.
Oh, well, that's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and then this Mechasy ballpoint pen has an interesting mechanism for ejecting the ink cartridge and a clip, and it can use Fisher Space Pen refills. I would love to
Nice.
see what that mechanism looks like. I've not seen this here in the States.
No.
And then as far as like their main edge tools, I think this is interesting and like very Japanese, right? So they have the Higo no Kami, but they don't usually take that out. But they could use the Eager Tool scissors, which have 8 functions. So it's like not just normal scissors. You can see like there's other stuff going on down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they said these days most flashlights are USB-C rechargeable, but I personally think that dry cell batteries are more reliable for lights.
I agree.
So yeah, so the Gentos flashlights are durable and won't break even if you drop them. And then not mentioned in their write up here is this Zippo lighter, but the insert
It's
is
mints.
Yeah, they're like Tic Tacs or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mint case. So
I
that's
have
the
never seen that kind of insert for a Zippo before.
yeah. So that's the Nissan Industry Tab Dock mint case. That's pretty cool. I might get that.
That is really cool.
Wait, no, I won't. No, I won't. I'm not gonna use that. But it's just cool. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We were just
Um,
we were just talking about Around Square and their like manipulative toys. The Zippo was one of the first like things that I
fidgety
learned,
things.
fidgety things, and you could do
Yeah.
tricks on it. I used
You
to,
can do tricks on it.
yeah, I used to
Okay.
when I used to smoke, you can do like you hold it like this, you hold it like in a fastball, or is this a
Uh
curveball?
huh.
Anyway, you snap and then it pops open and then you light. And then there's various ways of you can flip it where it
Mm,
opens and then you
sure.
strike it. So there's a lot of, along with pen tricks during that time, pen tricks and Zippo tricks were the two, like, and ballast tricks, but that's a whole other thing.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, but for everyday items like pens and Zippos were the big, ooh, impress the girls with the tricks kind of kind of
Yeah.
trick. Yeah, kind of tricks.
I
But
can
yeah.
see myself getting one of these Zippos with the mints in it and then trying to do a cool trick. And then the next thing you know, like I'm on the floor with like mints everywhere, like like Sonic the Hedgehog when he like hits the spikes and all the rings
Right.
fly out. I feel like
Right.
that's just what's gonna happen to me.
Or like the Peepo tray. Just fall.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, but very cool. I appreciate the Japanese made gear and like the intention of getting the Japanese stuff while you're in Japan. That's really cool. I would love to see more like regional, like country of origin
Mm.
type EDCs that have like similar themes and design language or the utility of the an everyday person in that locale. I think that'd be really interesting to just see and bring
Japan's
more
kind of
of
cheating though.
yeah, they
They
got the
got all
good
the stuff.
stuff. They got the good stuff.
Swiss would be cool. A
Swiss would
Swiss
yeah.
carry, like Swiss watch, Swiss knife
Yeah.
knife.
And like
Yeah.
we know that like the made in USA gear is also very
Yeah,
popular and those stuff
of
are just like
course.
very
Yeah.
cohesive. So it'd be interesting to see how that works in like different parts of the world. And I would love I don't know, personally I like the gear and stuff is great, but I do love with the added layer of
Locale
personality and I don't know,
environment.
society, yeah, like the environment that it's from. All of that context I think really elevates these pocket dumps and I'm glad that people decide to share them and share about their lives along with the photo of their gear because you know, you can see gear all over the internet, but I want to see like the story behind it.
The person
So
behind the gear.
exactly.
One last thing I want to say. We
Sure.
see the red and black Knipex pliers everywhere now. In this one,
Uh,
it's red and black, but it's scissors. So
mhm.
I found that like a nice switch up from the usual
Yeah.
formula. That's
It's
really
kind
cool.
the more I look at it, the more it gives me Deadpool. So I'm gonna look away before like
Right,
breaks the fourth wall or something. It's like I am
right.
Deadpool. Yeah. But thank you to Masayuki in Japan for this submission. And thanks again for everybody that shares your EDCs. If you want to do that, you can head over to everydaycarry.com and on the top of our website navigation bar, there's a submit your EDC link, or we'll also have a link directly in the show notes in the description of this episode. So I think that just about wraps it up for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please hit that subscribe, share with a friend, and follow us on our socials. And if you want to be part of our EDC community, feel free to hop into our Facebook group or Discord server for more real time discussion with other EDCers. And lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered on the show, you can shoot us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com. Thank you so much for listening to Carry the Way. I'm Bernard.
And I'm Mikey.
And until the next one, peace.